again, good morning and welcome to the After College Student Webinar Series. This is the very first webinar in a series that we're doing that will help you land a job by graduation. So we have 7 webinars, and today, the first one, we're going to be talking about how to zero in on what you really want to do upon graduation. So the goal of this whole webinar series is to give you the tools and the framework to land your dream job before graduation. And I think the second goal is really to, if you come and you attend our webinars, is to give you some motivation to really get this stuff done. Because I know it's really hard to be looking for a job and preparing to look for a job while you're in school. And honestly, creating a resume and building your network and spending time thinking about what you want to do, preparing for interviews, that's a lot of hard work, and it's not terribly fun. So hopefully if you join us, we'll give you a little bit of motivation to get through these steps. So we are going to be having, right now you should see on your screen the schedule. So every Wednesday between now and November 18th, we are going to be having a webinar at 10 o'clock. It's going to start at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern every week, every Wednesday until November 18th. So you can come to all of them, to some of them, whatever suits your schedule. We are recording today's webinar, and we will be recording all of our webinars. So if you miss one, don't worry about it, because you can watch it later. Or if you have to jump out in the middle of a webinar or you're joining us late, you can always go back and watch what you missed. We're going to be posting all of these on our YouTube channel, and we're also going to be sending you guys an email with links to all of these webinars. So you can even share them with your friends if you'd like. Anyway, so welcome. We're glad you're here today. So real quick, who I am, my name is Stephanie Peterson. I am the VP of Marketing here at After College. I graduated from college quite a while ago, but I still remember what it was like to be uncertain about what I wanted to do. I was an international business major, and business is a really broad field. So, I had a couple of stops and starts early in my career, but then ended up, it took me a few years, but I did end up zeroing in on what I really love to do and what I'm passionate about. But, for a lot of us, it's definitely trial and error. So in my case, I had an internship at a market research firm during my senior year of college that turned into a full-time job offer upon graduation, which is great. That's like everybody's dream. But, about 6 months into it, I really realized I didn't like market research. I really didn't like the analysis part of it. I wanted to be the person that used the research to go put creative campaigns together. So, it was a good experience for me to understand how that worked, but then I went on and did different things. So, anyway, I get where you're coming from, even though it's been a while for me, and hopefully today I'll give you some insight and some tools to help you zero in on what you want to do. Real quick, After College, if you haven't heard of After College, we're the largest career network for college students seeking jobs. If you go to our site, you'll see that we have some things for you to help you. We have what's called the Explore tool, and you can see an image of this here. It's on our homepage at www.aftercollege.com. And this enables you to look at jobs that are real jobs that are live right now that people are currently hiring for. You can put in your school, your major, and when you're graduating, and it'll kind of customize and show you jobs based on those what you put in there. You can also just search for jobs on our site if you know what your keywords you want to use. And we also have a really great blog where we have a lot of great information for college students and recent graduates in the job search. So I'm glad you joined us today because, we do a lot of research with college students, and we do track when college students are getting jobs. And it's definitely clear to us that the early bird gets the worm. And I know that's such a cliche, and this is a very goofy image, but it's true. Students who put the effort in to either looking for a job early in their senior year or looking for an internship early in their junior year tend to get have the highest percentage of those students, the earlier they start, the higher percentage of those have jobs lined up by graduation. So definitely you're doing the right thing by being here today and by even just taking time out of your schedule to think about what you might want to do and how to start this job search process. So my first tip for you today in terms of zeroing in on what you want to do is internships, internships, internships. It's so important because if you do a formal internship, you really do get to see how a company works. You not only get to see the job or the internship work that you are doing, but you get exposed to people that are doing other things within the company. So that might actually, you might find things are of interest to you that you hadn't considered before. Internships are, if you haven't done one yet and you're a senior, then there are other things you can do to start exploring your exploring real life companies that you might want to work for. You can do something called an externship. Externships are usually shorter in duration than internships and much less intense. You could do an externship, for example, during fall break, during winter break. They're usually like a shorter period of time, and the interview process isn't usually as formal, and it's a more of a micro internship, like a quick way to go in and see how a company works. And then even kind of beyond that, you could do some job shadowing, where you would just go on the job with somebody for a day or two and watch what they're doing and how they're doing it and ask them questions and maybe talk to their colleagues. So I think the best way to really zero in on what you want to do is to watch other people in action and talk to them about their experiences and see what feels good to you by doing that. The next tip I have for you is, I think that a lot of people feel like their career center is pretty useless. A lot of students report to us that they don't use their career centers because the general feeling around campus is it's just a waste of time. But I actually have to stick up for career centers. I think that they've come a long way, especially in the last maybe 5-10 years. A lot of career centers are embracing technology in ways they've never done before, and that enables them to bring a lot of information to you and a lot of opportunities for you. The thing I'll say about career centers, though, is they're not going to get the job for you. You still have to do the work. But if you'll spend the time and go talk to the career center at your school, there's probably a lot there that you didn't know existed, a lot of tools and a lot of resources to help you get ready for your job search. So, if you go to a small school, like I went to a really tiny liberal arts school, and we didn't have much of a career center, but a lot of the big universities have career centers that are public. You can access them, just Google them. I've given you a few examples here. So you could go to, if you're at a small school and your career center really does stink, you can go check out career centers at other schools and universities. And they have a lot of their content is free and available for anybody. So I encourage you to do that. The few that I have here, University of Florida has a good one, University of Michigan, Wake Forest. I mean, there's a lot of great career centers out there. I think one of the most important things, though, is just start out by trying to set a one-on-one appointment with somebody at your career center, just to have them give you a tour of all of the things that they have available. So anyway, that's my point there. So not all of them stink, and make the best use of that resource. They're really there to help you. And so with that, the third thing is, go to those career events. It's fall, it's recruiting season. To the employers, it's a recruiting season. They're doing career fairs on campus. They're doing info sessions. And I know it's kind of a drag to think about getting dressed up and going to one of these events in the evening if you're tired and you've been in class all day. But really, make yourself go to these. It's a great opportunity for you to learn about other companies and actually for you to learn about yourself. Because I think as you start talking to recruiters and different companies here, you might hear yourself saying things that surprise you, and it might help you hone in on what you are interested in, not interested in. So even if you don't have a resume to hand out or anything yet, I still think you should go to these career events and start talking to people as a way to kind of get a sense of what's interesting to you and what's not. And then, the other thing is I think info sessions are really interesting too. One of my coworkers was telling me a story about she went to, with one of her roommates, she went to an info session for a company, and she really just went because her roommate wanted a friend to come with her, and then they were having free pizza. So she really just went for the free pizza. And it was an info session given by a company that she never would have considered applying to. And she was actually really surprised by the presentation and ended up applying for a job there. So you never know, is what I'm saying. Like, explore all your options. Um, the fourth piece of advice I have for you is don't just look at job titles and job descriptions. Really look broader than that at different industries that might be of interest to you and different types of work environments that might be a fit for you. So, you could set up Google News alerts about industries that are of interest. If you, for example, want to come work in the Bay Area for a tech company, there's a lot of really great websites like TechCrunch and Mashable that have all kinds of information about what's going on in this industry. You could go read through those. You can set up Google News alerts on companies or industries that you're interested in, just as a way to kind of start learning about who are the movers and the shakers, like not just the people, but the companies and what's going on in these industries. It's an exciting time to be working in these industries. The other thing I encourage you to do is, try to go to some off-campus industry events. A lot of, like, say you're an engineering major, there's a ton of like engineering industry associations and groups all over the place. I don't even think you need to be living in a big city to find something like that. Go to those events and start talking to people, and it's a great way to network and just a great way to learn about what's going on and who's doing what. And then to that end, a lot of industry associations have newsletters and things like that. Subscribe to those. Start reading about what's going on. That will not only help you hone in on what you want to do, but when you start interviewing, you will be better prepared for your interview because you'll have a good sense of the industry and you'll be able to talk intelligently about it. The other thing I encourage you to do is really start doing some soul searching around what kind of work environment do you want to work in. There are a lot of great self-assessment tests that help you figure out, like, given your personality type and your work style, what kinds of organizations you would fit best in. And I encourage you to take some of those self-assessment tests. I imagine some of your career centers have them, or you can just find them online. But think about things like, am I an individual contributor? Meaning, like, do I like to work alone, or do I thrive in more of a group work atmosphere, or a team atmosphere? Or do I want to work at a company where there's like a lot of routine and process and structure? Or am I more free-form? Like, am I entrepreneurial? I mean, these are all good questions to ask yourself. So I guess to summarize, look beyond just the job and the job description and think about what industries are interesting to you and what kind of work environment is interesting to you. My final point for you is just, I know it's really kind of intimidating for a lot of people and overwhelming, the job searches, but come at it with kind of an explorer's mentality and a sense of curiosity. Kind of see it as you have your backpack on and you're out exploring, and go down a few paths or trails that maybe you wouldn't have originally thought you'd want to go down, just to explore them and see, if there's anything out there that you weren't aware of that is interesting to you. And then the other thing is, like a backpacker, be prepared. Like, come with your water bottle and your power bar, right? Like, you do need to come with your story, like your ability to talk about what you're interested in, why you chose your major, what classes you really loved, what projects, be prepared to talk about some of the work and projects you've done, or if you've done an internship. So as you're exploring, you can have meaningful conversations with employers and alumni and all the people that you're going to be talking to. So here's my homework for you. It looks like a long list, but I think, again, just summarizing, take advantage of your school's career center. Go to as many on-campus career fairs and info sessions as possible. Take some self-assessment tests to see what soft skills you have and to get clear on the type of environment that suits you best. Start skimming the news for industries that you're interested in and start following people. I mean, if you like to hang out in the Twitterverse, You can, follow people on Twitter or whatever social platform you like to use. You can follow either individual leaders in that industry, or you can follow companies and industries you're interested in. The last thing is, don't be shy. Like, reach out to at least one alumnus. You must do that. I mean, I'm shocked at how few people in my alumni network reach out to me. I've had a few, and alumni are delighted to help you. They want to help you. We all remember what it was like to be in your shoes, so don't be shy about reaching out. Alumni love to talk about what they've done in their career path, and they love to help, so don't be shy about that. And then the last thing is, hey, join us next week, because one of the things, our focus for next week's webinar is to talk more about the value of your professional network and how to build one, which is also challenging when you're just coming out of school and your network is mostly just your peers that you're graduating with. So we're going to talk about that topic next week. And then finally, again, here's how we can help you here at After College. Come to our site, explore our jobs that we have on our site. Check out our blog. There's a lot of great articles there that will give you helpful information and also inspire you. And then, when you're really ready to start your search, set up an After College profile. You can come on After College and set up a profile and put in your school, your major, and your volunteer work, your internships, anything you want. It's like basically building a little mini resume. And we have tons of employers that are trying to hire the best and brightest college students and recent graduates. And this is a great way for them to discover you, because they're coming to After College behind the scenes and they're searching for the right candidates for their jobs. So if you have a profile set up, they're likely to discover you and they might be reaching out to you. So that helps if they can do a little bit of the work. So with that, I would love to hear what questions you have. I should have told you at the beginning of the webinar, if you'd like, you can type your questions. There's a panel in the GoToWebinar tool for those of you who are online, and you can type your questions into that tool and let me know what questions do you have. Okay, so the first question is, how do I find out more about a company's work environment? Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of companies know that candidates are curious about their culture and what it's like to work there. So I've noticed that, lately they've been trying to put a lot of multimedia content on their websites. So usually if you go to a company's career section of their website, they usually have videos or articles, like interviews with current employees and information about what it's like to work there. So I would start by looking at that. Another really great resource is a company called Glassdoor. It's GLASSDOOR.com. Glassdoor is a website where employees can basically go and anonymously post comments about their work experience. And actually, that's where you're going to probably get the real inside scoop on what the company is like. The only thing I will say about Glassdoor is please take some of the negative comments with a grain of salt, because we all know that people, if they're upset about something, love to complain, but the people who are happy are not as likely to go write a comment. But I do think it gives you some kind of more real insight into what it's like to work someplace. So that was a great question. Thank you. Okay, so the next question is, what's the best way to approach someone to see if I can shadow them if I don't know them very well? So this gets back to the question that, or the topic I was talking about before in terms of reaching out to alumni. I think that's a great example, because you're basically contacting an alumni cold, right? They don't know you, you don't know them. So, I think the best way to approach them initially is to send them an email versus calling them, just because it gives them a sense, it gives them a minute to kind of like digest who you are. In your intro email, I would be very brief and simple. You don't need to write out all your questions in the email, but I would just simply say, be genuine. Just say, look, hi, I'm a student at university of whatever that you go to. And I am reaching out to you because I see that you have had a really interesting career, and I'm the same major as you, or I'm interested in your area, and I would love to just ask you a few questions about your career path and how you got started. Would you be willing to give me, 10 to 15 minutes of your time to do a phone call? And that's it. Just keep it that simple. And you might not hear back. You might not. But if you do, you should trust that that person really does want to help you. And again, don't be shy about asking. So I think email is the best way to approach them initially. And then if they say, yes, I'd be happy to talk to you, then you can set up a time to do a phone conversation. And then from there, if the phone conversation goes well and they're local and it works out logistically, you could ask them, like, can I come into your office for a day or two and see like how things work? Could I either shadow you or maybe shadow somebody on your team or one of your coworkers, and then from there. So you just start out with that email and build from there about shadowing. And I do know that a lot of, quite a few of the career centers that I was looking at, they do have formal job shadowing programs. So they already have alumni who have signed up and said, yes, I would be willing to either mentor a student or have them do job shadowing or have them talk to me on the phone. So anyway, so definitely that's the best approach. Okay, I think that's it for questions. If you get to the point where you have other questions, please feel free to reach out to us at info@aftercollege.com. That's info at aftercollege.com. And we'd be happy to try to answer your questions. So thanks again for joining us today. I know this was short but sweet, and we hope you can join us next week at the same time for our second webinar in this series, which will be focused on how to build your network. Thanks so much and have a great day.